It's a question without an answer.
She was my best friend.
A 14-year-old who never came home.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Deanie Peters walked out of Forest Hill Central Middle School on February 5th of 1981, never to be seen again.
Here we are 45 years later and we still have no clue as to what happened.
Do you think about the life that Deanie would have had?
I can only think up until she was 14. I've missed her life.
45 years. Poor Mary has went through hell.
For those working to find answers, the unknown.
Honestly, it's very frustrating.
That's why detectives are opening up the evidence to Fox 17, sharing never-before-released details and witness accounts.
There's just a piece of the puzzle that we don't have.
Through our lens, they hope shining a light on the case will bring final details and voices out of the shadows.
Why now? We could have done this 5 years earlier, we could do this 5 years in the future, but we're sitting here today. Why now?
Now is the time.
So they can finally answer.
Deanie deserves the peace. Her family deserves the peace.
I'm done. I'm done.
Where is Deanie?
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Josh Berry.
And I'm Sam Lanstra. It's been 45 years since the disappearance of Dean Marie Pyle, better known as Deanie Peters. Tonight, in partnership with the Kent County Sheriff's Office, we are rewinding the clock to the day she went missing.
But before we dig into the new details, we want you to know who Deanie was. The former California girl who lived in Cascade was a student at Forest Hill Central Middle School, an animal lover with a contagious laugh. But the person who knew her best was her mother. So we traveled across the country to meet Mary Peters.
Do you think about the life that Deanie would have had?
I can only think up until she was 14.
It's not easy for Mary Peters to take us back, to answer what ifs, to simply talk about her daughter.
I don't have a life with her after 14.
When you describe Deanie, or when you think about Deanie in your mind, what comes to your mind?
I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm sorry. She was a beautiful baby. She was a beautiful child.
Oh, yeah. They're a big poly chair.
Okay.
Mary and John, Deanie's stepfather, welcomed us into their home in Arizona. This far removed, she says most of the people around her don't know her whole story, and she prefers it that way.
I don't want people to feel sorry for me anymore.
But at almost 1,500 miles away, surrounded by mountains, desert, and their own fair share of snow,
I pray for her every night. I have for 45 years.
Deanie remains as close to her heart as ever.
You can tell I don't get into this.
You won't see many pictures beyond her photo albums.
That's the day she was born, right there.
It's hard when someone asks, "Who's that?"
I get to this point where I can't let it bother me every day or else I cannot function.
But since 1981, she has carried her with her, both mentally
This is not her room.
and physically.
Is this more for yourself than for her, or is this tribute to her?
No, it's not a tribute. I don't want to use that word. If
Okay.
she comes home, this is her room.
Deanie was declared dead in 1991, but there's part of Mary that holds on.
She lives in our hearts every day, and I couldn't bring myself to get rid of it. Even after several moves, it was always set up, yes.
Mary's life for 45 years has been punctuated by a question mark.
I don't know. Will I see her before I die? They can still work on it after I'm gone. But I'm running out of time. I'm 79 years old. How many more years do I have left?
So you have hope still?
I do. Like I said, I pray for her every night. I do. I have hopes for me, for us, for her brother, that we can just finally know what happened.
And while so much time has passed, she remembers that day, Thursday, February 5th of 1981, as if it was yesterday.
It was a high temperature of 23 degrees that day.
It was cold.
She took Deanie, her son William, and a family friend to wrestling practice at the middle school.
You went and stopped and watched an aerobics class, and Deanie had to go to the bathroom.
Right, and never came back.
Is that the last moment that you saw your daughter?
Yes, that's the last moment I know anybody saw her.
But never before shared details from the Kent County Sheriff's Office paint a new picture, conversations in the hallways and bathroom.
Deanie made a statement that the person had a nice car.
It's the first I've heard of it.
A witness account of a group of boys outside.
They were pounding on the door and said they wanted to talk to Dean Peters.
That's the first I've heard of that also.
This timeline of the hour Deanie disappeared was new for Mary.
Did they take Deanie and put her in the back of that car? What happened?
I don't want it to appear as if me sharing this information is an indication that there is more information out there to be shared.
There could be.
So forgive me for putting you into this position.
That's right. I'm done. I'm done for a minute. I'm done for a second.
That's okay.
Mary would return and finish that interview. We'll continue the conversation coming up. Understandably, it was difficult for her to go back, but we are so grateful that she welcomed us into her home. Mary tells us she did it for her daughter.
And now Deanie's disappearance has been reported for decades. And as you've heard, she was last seen in her middle school gym. But there are details you don't know. Details investigators kept private like they do in nearly every case. Details they're exclusively sharing with us for the first time. I sat down with the lead detective to discuss why.
Carefully kept under lock and key. The evidence of Deanie's disappearance. Is large, yet lacking.
It's one of the most difficult types of cases that you can investigate. A no body, no scene crime. So these are different photos that were likely provided by the family.
Detective Paul Van Ree was assigned to this case 6 years ago.
This is one of the most long-standing cold cases that we have in the county.
In the time since, Van Ree has flipped through more manila folders, read more notes, reports, and statements than he can count.
We receive tips on this case still to this day.
But what he hasn't found, at least not in this evidence, is that answer. And for every theory and rabbit hole,
there's information on each one of those theories that would refute the theory to some degree.
He's traveled down every road and tunnel.
Do you believe that this case is still solvable?
Yes, I do. Somebody out there knows something.
Why now? We could have done this 5 years earlier. We could do this 5 years in the future, but we're sitting here today. Why now?
It's just come to this point. The family's aging. The witnesses are aging.
Somebody knows something.
Here's the teeth impressions. These are different maps.
And somebody may remember something in this evidence.
If we're going to get any of that information, now is the time.
This is why the Kent County Sheriff's Office is laying bare this case. Revealing to you what's previously been unseen, unspoken, in hopes it may no longer remain unsolved.
For me, in a case like this, it is a frustrating case to work. And I hope that at some point it might also be the most fulfilling case to work if we can get to the bottom of it.
Van Ree says at this point he's not worried about tainting the investigation. By opening up this case and sharing it with you, he hopes it will spur something new.
We are laying it all out, Deanie's last known steps, conversations, and the sightings when we come back. Welcome back. When Deanie walked out of the Forest Hill Central Middle School gym, it's been said she was never seen again. But that's not the case. There were sightings and conversations in the halls of the school.
People saw other things too, cars and boys banging on doors. These details, shared exclusively with Fox 17, are a combination of evidence, interviews, and re-interviews done by detectives over decades.
They are all pieces of a still unsolved puzzle that may have everything to do with Deanie's disappearance or nothing at all. So let's follow the 14-year-old's steps.
What she was doing the weekend before, it gives perspective on what her life was like.
Detective Van Ree.
This is their residence right here.
Gave us a glimpse of Deanie's typical teenage life before her disappearance.
The daughter I never had.
She often spent holidays and weekends with the Herberts, close family friends of the Peters.
Every weekend we did something together.
Deanie played games in this living room. She ate meals at this dining table.
Deanie was such a character. She really was. She was sweet.
It's said she had a certain California look.
She was very, very attractive. A lot of girls were jealous of her. A lot of guys just adored her.
Beyond the Herberts, there weren't many closer to Deanie
She was my best friend.
than Kathy Weeks Kingma. I sat down with her and her siblings in Lowell.
She had the most contagious laugh. There wasn't a condition. There was no condition.
Here, we went over the days leading up to Deanie's disappearance, as outlined by Detective Van Ree.
Friday, January 30th, she went to the high school basketball game, went cruising with a group of boys, and slept over at a friend's house. Saturday, she hit the roller rink, and later, a party with Kathy. Sunday, she spent time with a boy at her house. Then, the day Deanie was last seen, Thursday, February 5th.
There is a part of you that is still 14 years old, that you go back to that moment, that time, and it never leaves you.
Kathy did see her friend that day. She's thought about it since, and the plans they never got to carry out.
Deanie started her Thursday like a typical middle schooler, hopping on the bus and heading to class.
But there are details in her day detectives want you to hear.
Lots of notes from friends and teachers.
Deanie's yearbook is what you'd expect from a 7th grader, full of have a good summers and smiley faces.
If you didn't know her, you knew of her.
Robert Alexander, a former classmate, says he was not a friend of Deanie's, but an acquaintance.
She wasn't so stuck into her little cliques or friend group to have conversation with other people, so that was super cool.
The day of the disappearance, Deanie and Robert talked at lunch.
We did have a brief conversation.
In our interview, Robert said it might have been about a family matter. His statements to detectives are more specific.
She had made some type of indication that she might be meeting somebody that evening. It was potentially a guy, somebody that she thought was cute.
Robert told me he'd stand by his previous statements.
If that's what they documented, I will absolutely stand on that.
Then, waiting for the bus after school, Deanie spoke with Kathy, whom she would also call after arriving home.
My memory is the last time I talked to my friend on a phone that said, "I'll call you."
This was one of several phone calls made by Deanie that afternoon. With a friend, she made plans for a potential sleepover that weekend. And with Ardeen, she asked about being brought to the library that night. But first came younger brother William Peters' wrestling practice.
This is the point in the timeline where outsiders begin to form their theories on what happened to Deanie.
But on the inside, Detective Van Ree wants to focus on the facts, the verifiable who, what, when, and where of this day. He hopes then he can make that phone call Mary has been praying for.
I just don't like to always have to bring it up to her because I know it makes her sad.
Can the next call bring closure?
This is what I mean. What happened? And then I have to live with this.
Can the next conversation come with an answer?
You get my hopes up.
At around 4:30 in the afternoon at the middle school, Deanie, Mary, William, and Ardeen's son arrived at wrestling practice.
So there's a lot of activity going on at the school.
Activities like a middle school band practice, high school night classes, and an aerobics class.
There's no way that we've talked to every single person that was there that night.
A short time later, Ardeen's husband, David Herbert, arrived at the middle school. He told detectives that when he drove in, he noticed a small, intermediate-sized yellow-green car with its passenger door open and no one inside.
I didn't know anything about it.
Back inside, Mary and Deanie had stopped to watch the aerobics class in the gym. Deanie told her mom she needed to use the bathroom.
I walked over, met Mary. Deanie had waved at me and walked out that door. I'll be right back. Those were the words.
Neither of them knew that would be the last time they saw Deanie.
Why did I ask her to go with me? What if?
For decades, it was widely believed that was the last time Deanie was seen. But a handful of people who were here that night saw Deanie and spoke to detectives. Their witness accounts were shared with us.
She walked all the way through the gym and out the door.
At the back of an aerobics class inside the middle school gym, Sue Dizer was one of the last to see Deanie.
I didn't think anything of it at all, and I wouldn't have even noticed except for they were very nice looking and dressed well.
Something she recounted to detectives in their initial investigation.
Police came and asked our class.
She saw Deanie walk out of the gym, beginning what we're now learning was a path through the school.
This is a map of the middle school provided to us by the Sheriff's Office, accurate to the day of Deanie's disappearance. The classroom, gyms, and hallways, we'll use all of it to follow Deanie's path.
Now we know that when she walked out those gym doors, that's the last time her mom and Ardeen saw her. But there were others that did see her.
A student sees Deanie walking west toward the science room, where her locker was located. Then, in the women's bathroom, a mother tending to her young son sees Deanie.
She, in fact, gave us information that Deanie was brushing her hair.
According to her statement to detectives, she had asked Deanie how she was doing. Good, Deanie said.
I do remember I was just surprised to see her there.
As he was getting ready to go home, Robert Alexander, at the school for the wrestling practice, sees Deanie.
She had on, if I remember, a vest, which to me I thought was a little unusual being indoors.
In a more recent statement to detectives, Robert said he had gotten the impression Deanie was planning on going outside, potentially to meet someone.
He had mentioned that this individual might even have a nice car.
But he had not thought she planned on leaving the property.
Nothing that would have alerted me to say, okay, this doesn't seem right.
Venri believes Deanie then walked west, then south through the hallways.
We know one of the parents was in the cafeteria there. She provided information that Deanie did not walk through that area.
Now at the school's southwest doors, a student waiting for a ride after band practice sees Deanie. Deanie addresses her by name, says hi and see you later.
She was very adamant that she could recall that interaction. Again, because, Deanie was a popular middle school girl.
This student declined to do an interview, but she told detectives she saw Deanie walk out of the school alone. In the parking lot, she also recalled a larger gray car with a long hood and its headlights on, pointed toward the school.
Is that the last recorded sighting of Deanie?
We don't have any information of anybody seeing her after she walked out of those doors.
There were other sightings of note that night. Boys outside the school, cars with their doors open in the parking lot.
These could all be little pieces of the puzzle, witness accounts that might jog memories and might bring more missing pieces to the table.
Oh, I've thought about it quite a bit.
I sat down with Kathy DeMond in her home in Grand Rapids. She was a janitor at the school.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Yup,
you.
That was it.
The night of February 5th, she didn't see Deanie and only learned after the fact that she was there when this happened.
Where is it?
Recollections do fade, but for 45 years, she has held on to one particular memory.
My coworker, Art, said there was some older boys.
While detectives didn't interview Kathy's coworker until decades later, he said he saw 3 or 4 boys.
I believe he even said that they were wearing high school letter jackets.
They were banging on the school's front doors near the media center.
He said that they were asking for Dean, and that's the name that Deanie would often go by with her friends is Dean.
And we don't know who these group of guys were.
As of right now, those individuals have not been identified.
When Deanie didn't return to the gym, Mary and later the Herberts started looking. In a more recent interview, David Herbert told detectives he recalled seeing something.
He just thought that was kind of odd that he saw what he saw.
4 boys leaving through one of the front doors near the media center.
He saw a yellow Nova-style car in front of the school.
David said the car's hatchback was up and one of the kids closed it as he got in. By the time David reached the front door, the car was gone.
Do we know if those boys or suspect that those boys could have been the same ones that were looking for Deanie earlier?
It's my belief that it was likely the same event.
While Detective Van Ree can't say for certain this observation played a role in Deanie's disappearance,
It very well could be vital to the investigation.
There's one more witness account detectives want to share. A woman parked on the west side of the school said she saw a green car described as souped up with a loud exhaust driving over from the high school.
At that time, she saw a young female with what she described as long, dark hair come out of the building. This female was wearing a coat and a scarf, and she got into that green car, and then the car took off.
The question, was that Deanie?
The time frame, it fits that time where it could have been.
And do you know anything about these sightings?
Again, not that they might be directly related to what happened with Deanie, but they're definitely specific details that could lead us to additional people to talk to.
We understand we laid out a lot of information that likely leaves you with even more questions. But if it also takes you back to February 5th of 1981, keep watching.
Coming up, the hole Deanie's absence has left on those who love her and the action it will take to help them heal. Welcome back. The people we talked with, Deanie's mom, her friends, the witnesses at the middle school, have lived 4.5 decades since the disappearance.
But everyone told us this mystery and the unknown has impacted their lives.
I've missed her life. I've missed everything there is to celebrate. Graduations, proms, dances, first car, driver's license, wedding, shopping with her, doing girl things. We've missed it all.
Me, it affected tremendously. My family, it affected tremendously. I was very overprotective after everything happened with Deanie.
My daughter was named through Deanie and my grandma because that was me taking a part of her with me.
Now, there is hope Deanie may be found, and it brings her friends, her mother, some semblance of closure.
But in this case, hope, as you have heard, will have to come with action.
Hope and perseverance are really the only thing that solves cases that are this old. You really got to hope that you're going to find something, you're going to find a witness, you're going to find a piece of evidence.
From his helm at the Kent County Sheriff's Office, Under Sheriff Brian Muir has seen cases come and close. Deanie's hasn't.
I'd be lying to say that time isn't difficult. Memories fade, information's no longer available to us.
Muir has seen ponds drained, property dug up, and the country traveled in the search for Deanie. Now he sees what Detective Vinree sees, a need for help from you.
Give us a call. Give us that bit of information. Give us that name. Give us that location. That, many times, is the last piece that we need to solve a case like this.
No matter how much time has passed, no matter what you remember, if you remember anything, it could mean everything for this case.
There's just a piece of the puzzle that we don't have. But I also think that just one piece of the puzzle might be all we need.
A car, a person, a gut feeling.
I always say, or it's our belief, that somewhere in that information, the answer lies.
This isn't simply a call from police, but from parents.
If my child went missing, I would do everything I could to find him. And that's what we're doing here.
Parents who loved Deanie.
I beg who's ever out there to please tell us anything, anything.
And the parent who raised her.
It's been 45 years, and like I said, I'm 79. I'll be 80 this year. That's my parents' age. And you're not supposed to get that old, but I would just like to find her before I die. Yes, that's important.
If you have information on the disappearance of Deanie Peters, please submit a tip. You can call this number. You can also submit information online. Scanning the QR code will take you to the Kent County Sheriff's Office tip page.
No matter how seemingly insignificant or small, Detective Vinree will consider what you say. If you have photos from that day, a memory, a feeling about something, send it in. Silent observer is also an option. And as we close, we want to take a moment to recognize the weight of our coverage and how difficult it is for families like the Peters to go back.
We are grateful for them and for everyone who sat down with us and hope something comes of this that will help investigators finally get answers. Thank you for watching.
And have a good night.